please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Omegon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Today we're going to be taking a look at a video tweeted out from an account I can no longer find. Not the Twitter, the TikTok video that we're going to be looking at. I did try many different variations, but when I got linked to some videos via Google search, all are unavailable. Which would lead me to believe that the account that tweeted this, yes, Libs of TikTok, drove enough attention their way, or highlighted them just enough that they decided to scorched earth this. Which makes some sense because that's quite a common tactic amongst those who do not like it when their views are shared with others. They instead want to be the authority on what they speak on. They also want to share too much, not only with those they are in charge of, but also with those that they think want to support them. We should probably go into this with a disclaimer. If you, the individual whose videos are currently unavailable on TikTok, are employed in a position of power, let's say a teacher, and a student asks you something about you that is personal, about yourself that is, you should immediately remove the conversation from the situation entirely and say, no, we are not having this conversation. I am not your agony aunt, and my life is not your concern. You are there, the teacher, to provide education only. I would also include the student sharing too much unless they require safeguarding. Okay, right. Let's dive into this.
Okay, so today I had a conversation with a student and she was ranting.
I'm going to posit a question to you, my audience. Does anyone believe it remotely appropriate for a teacher to be sharing a discussion they had with one of their students onto social media? Because I don't believe it should. While I don't think it's some form of doctor-patient confidentiality or legal representation thing, right? No NDAs are required. I do think that a teacher is in a very privileged position, and that privileged position means you have to have a form of discretion. If your student has a presence on TikTok, there is a chance they may well have followed you there. They may well know what you have said, and they'll know you are speaking about them. To me, that student will undoubtedly feel like you are betraying their trust. To use them to drive home a differing point, which we'll get to soon, it is a comical one, okay?
Because she couldn't quite understand how no one else in class, my classes or in the school, has noticed and commented.
Now, I've interrupted because fair use, but you've indicated this individual has ranted to you about a lack of conversation concerning something, which you'll say in a second, it's quite alright. I'm going to pose a theory that perhaps one of the main reasons no one is talking about it is due to apathy. Many people don't like to draw attention to conversations that can be difficult because there's always a risk that the person who is then the center of the conversation attention may well either talk about that which no one cares about, they may well lecture you on it, which those aforementioned students do not care about, and they're going to feel like perhaps it wasn't worth their time to ask. There might be an alternative, which I did see in on X. I may well mention that later on.
Either or. About the fact that I have a chest now.
Right at the end there, you looked very excited by this, almost like it was scandalous and titillating. Few things. Firstly, to be pedantic, everyone has a chest. Second, if you are quite a large individual, you will have a bigger chest. Third, if you are, and you're going to describe this, going through a form of transformation, you will already have a chest, and your body will just adapt and, well, possibly change a little. There are surgical options you can obviously explore. You are, of course, no skinny bish, so you will have a larger chest that someone on Twitter had dubbed moobs. Because I'm going to be moderately respectful, I'm going to say you had a chest already. It perhaps just needed refinement.
I'm small for most women, especially considering my size.
Well, that's not true. Unless you're vertically challenged, you're not. The thing here is, if you're going to say you're small, you want to make sure the head, or aspects of it, below the mouth, for example, but above the collarbone, don't betray you in some manner. Yours has betrayed you. Sorry, milady.
They're just barely technically Beac Cups.
Yes, I've heard that sound from a truck reversing. Now, I'm gonna say, you might say they're barely Beac Cups, but this is where, again, the internet may well have gone to you and said, you lie. Not gonna judge, not my place. I'm certainly not the type to say what you have because I could never tell and I certainly don't want to look to find out. I am not in the market for discussing, well, any individual's chesticles, to be honest. I think when it comes to this discussion, the first thing you should have done was say, this is not an appropriate discussion for me to be having with you with regards to my body and the lack of attention that has come from other students in my direction. Because I am a teacher and how my chest looks is not of their concern. But you didn't, did you? Because as you earlier stated, they ranted. You let them go off. You let them cook. You really want this attention, don't you? Must be a sad, lonely life when your barely Beac Cups aren't getting any attention.
I've been on hormones about a year, difference from most trans women's.
I'll be honest. I think everyone knew you were definitely trans, no offense intended. I don't think it helped that Libs of TikTok tweeted this one out. But then, videos like this, there are many of them, and I will still go back to my original point. I do not believe you discussing yourself with a student is appropriate at all. You are there to perform a duty, and that is provide education based on the subject you are in charge of for the class you are in charge of. Anything personal needs to be left at home, right? I don't understand this need to share too much with everyone. I really don't get it, but perhaps I'm too old to understand. But to counter that, I take no issue with accounts like Libs of TikTok tweeting these videos out, so I can highlight as well why I think you're an idiot.
I'm bigger, so I have more body fat for my body to work with, to move around, to make things happen.
So earlier when you said you were small, you've contradicted this, which would go so far as to explain the replies under Libs of TikTok's tweet with your video, none of which I can show because, oh, they be spicy. Some are. Enough that I would get demonetized, and I don't want to risk that. We could tell you were a bigger person because, no offense intended, those who are, generally, unless they're super body confident, right, they generally only show you the shoulders and up, which is called a bust. A somewhat ironic thing, considering it's what you are talking about. Your bust. Your barely Beac Cup bust, which no offense again, I doubt. No, I'm not fat shaming, but I do believe your barely Beac Cups were already there before the hormones. They were called something else, and I did earlier reference the word moob because it was the accurate descriptor. Again, I'm trying to avoid causing offense, but if you are offended by these comments here, you're on the wrong channel. Omegon's the one where I pander to you guys. You're welcome.
So, I kind of have a cheat code that way.
It's funny you mention cheat codes. On the main channel, I cover Amberlynn Reid, who has used Ozempic, failed. Semaglutide, which is a rip-off of Ozempic, and failed. I called them both cheat codes because she didn't change her dietary habits to allow for Ozempic to complement her changing her life. You are now referencing HRT as a cheat code. Feels like a Freudian slip, but I feel like I don't have enough time in this video to delve into that one because it might seem like I'm reaching. Like those did you know shorts, where people like to add conspiracies to movies that are so bad, I just can't stop downvoting. I really can't.
Because your body needs fat to work with to redistribute it.
I'm not a biologist type when it comes to humans. Is that how that works? To transition, do you need to build your body up with supplies of fat to then transition so it can be distributed to the correct places? If that's the case, I may have a number of questions that go beyond the realm of appropriate to ask a number of authorities on this subject. If you are by chance an expert in this field, do let me know in the comments. I keenly await the edumacation that comes with this contrafibularity.
But the main point is I just found it funny that one of my students, a teenager, was ranting to me about how it's so easy for her to notice, how come no one else has noticed?
The part you've left out, and it's quite an important caveat, is whether or not the student had actually spoken to the classmates about it, because that's important information. Chances are they did notice and didn't care. But there's also something else to consider. It's entirely possible this story is absolute bullshit, and it's also possible you lost your job not long after this for sharing something like this with your social media followers. I don't know how many you have because your account is missing. Shock. I love me a bit of scorched earth. It makes it so much easier for me to make my assertions in the knowledge that I can't find the context. There is a part of this where I do believe you just wanted to use a story and use it to talk about your changes, right? Because if you can frame a story as relatable, more people are inclined to engage with it. So using your privileged position as a teacher would certainly do that. My view on it is going to remain the same. You're a teacher. You're not there to share your life with them, ever.
She's kind of got a point. And, I'm not actually hiding. Purple curly hair, cat's eye glasses in the classroom.
Tell me this. Do you really want your students to notice you have whammon boobs now? Do you really want them to come up to you and go, oi, oi, nice rat, your ear? No, you bloody well don't. It's very inappropriate. There are certain people that, of course, love attention in that sense. I sorely doubt you're one of them. No offense intended, but the hair gives you away, oddly enough. You would be the type, if a student mentioned it, to take it straight to the principal and get them suspended. Why? Because it's sexual harassment. Objectification of women. You get to lecture them on why they are an inadequate individual. I'm not going to assume that person's gender even if I'm making them up. You see the world we live in where I can't even give a gender to something I make up? Okay.
Painted nails all the time.
Yeah, I paint mine too, but it's because it helps me, it prevents me from biting them. It's a great anxiety thing. It's not an indicator of femininity, because I'm like William Regal, the manliest of manly men. Can you tell? Manly man. Yeah, that's me.
Bracelets. I wear skinny jeans.
If you're a big and a small person, please don't wear skinny jeans. Please. No one needs to see what's stuffed in what. It's not appropriate. I don't care what you wear, by the way. I don't care what you choose to put on yourself, what you choose to take. Truly, I don't. But you are now not demonstrating anything that is remotely feminine. You're displaying something that is human. I wear a bracelet too, but I'm not you. I paint my nails, I am not you. I don't wear skinny jeans because I don't skip leg day. I don't wear glasses because my eyesight's brilliant. And I don't have purple hair because I have standards. See what I mean here?
I've worn women's dress pants a few times. Basically, I don't have any men's pants or anything. And then my shirts are fairly tight because that's where I'm comfortable. And even though I don't have the best body, I feel comfortable.
I'm going to be pedantic. If they're tight, they're not comfortable. What you mean to say is, I'm comfortable wearing tight clothes so you get to see all my goodies. Them belly Beac Cups. In a classroom with children.
But I do find it funny because she's kind of right. How did people not notice? How have they not noticed Beac Cups yet?
Now there is a very rude answer that every Englishman would say, because we don't generally pay attention to anything less than a C, okay? Much like the average grades before they changed them to numbers. Yeah, that's a thing. Second, if a student is paying attention to your chest, chances are your job isn't going very well for you, is it now? You look like the type who wants to be objectified so you can complain about being objectified. They are not there to pay attention to your chest. They are there to learn. If this is to be believed as a true story, where it's possible it's not, let's face it, then they are at least doing what they're meant to do in that classroom. Additionally, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The chest is one thing, but some people, as it turns out, like a good personality and a fantastic face to accompany it. You may be confident in what you wear, even if it is tight, which means it's not comfortable, but that doesn't mean you're attractive to them, does it now? And they are, after all, teenagers. They have standards as well. Some will. Okay, they all will, to an extent. Okay, take your belly Beac Cups, peanuts, and hide them from them because they don't need that distraction. You weirdo. Alright?